Hey guys, Synchro Fanatic here. Today was Locals Day, and I ended up going to Glasshammer Gaming in Oakengates for Locals. Today we was a 4-round Locals, and I took Tenyi Swordsoul for the event. Well, I say event, but it's just a small gathering really. But yeah, just a little bit of a Locals report here. So yeah, we'll start off with a quick deck profile just to get you over the deck, and then we'll go into the games at locals, and I'll just talk you through it, talk what happened, give some opinions on how I'm going to improve it. But this is going to be a bit of an reoccurring series. We're just going to be taking Sword Souls for the next few locals, probably even more so if can get really consistent with it, and just see if we can improve our placement and get like a top 4 finish with this deck in a format that I personally don't enjoy. But I'm thinking of making the most of it right now, even though I think the format does have a lot of problems. I do think there is still some fun to be had, especially at locals where it's a more chill environment, but there's still somewhat of a competitive edge. But anyway, enough of me waffling. Let's get started. Also, note, this is the first synchro profile on the channel called Synchro Fanatic. It took us this long to get to a synchro deck. Crikey. Anyway, we'll start with the standards. We're going to play 3 Moye. Moye is not really something I need to explain too much. It's just your best Tenyi to synchro with, because you get a free draw off it. You just reveal a worm or a Sword Soul card in your hand, and you get to make the token and do Sword Soul stuff. So usually making this Chijai with this is a search and a draw, which it sounds like engaged to me, but it's a bit more conditional. Definitely something that is very privy to hand traps, but still, if it goes off, it's very powerful. Next card we play is the other lower level Sword Soul. I played 2 Tyre. Tyre's pretty good. Tyre's definitely better in the long run, because you obviously have to just banish a worm or Sword Soul from the graveyard, which can help set up some other combos and stuff. So Tyre's good at 2. 3 I think is too many. I definitely think 2 was a better amount of 3. 3 clogs a bit too much, and 2 seems like the right amount. So I was quite happy I dropped it down to 2, because I was playing 3, but I think 2 is correct. I do have a play 3 Longyuan. Longyuan's just great because he helps you push through shit. And he's also like the best way to get to your level 10 synchros, which happen to be some more of your powerful ones like Chengying and Baron. And the 1200 burn is obviously like, nice time winning strategy, but it never comes up. We're not prank kids or anything, but a very niche, like 1 in 100 games it might come up. And of course, play 3 Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous. This card is decent going first and crazy going second, being able to special summon herself and special summon a Sword Soul from the deck is pretty good. Like, the only thing I would really wish is that I wish she was a worm, so you got some other benefits with the other synergy of the cards, but even still, I definitely think she's a 3 of in any list. If you're going first, you could maybe cut her down if you need the space, but there's definitely other cards I cut first before if I need the space, so. But yeah, instant 3 for me, she's really good. Because this is a Tenyi list, we're playing 3 copies of Ashuna. It's been a while since I played Tenyi Swordsoul, so I forgot this actually locked you into worms when you played this. But yeah, just special summon it if you've got no effect monsters. Special summon a Tenyi from the deck if you've got a face-up non-effect monster. So yeah, gets to your other play engines and get some great advantage that way. It's just a solid card. Vishuda is one of the other Tenyis you play. This is just great going second. Definitely something you can search off Ashuna, and being level 7 is helpful because of the other Tenyi card, Adhara. Vishuda and Adhara makes a level 8, which can be Chija or anything. So a really good package. A lot of recyclability. And I definitely think the Tenyi version of the deck is the way to go, besides the Aurora Dun Halki Fibrex build, which is this is not because I'm not really a fan of that version. It probably might be a better version, but I like just playing Sword Soul the standard traditional Tenyi way. Because there's a lot to learn, I think, with this deck. There's definitely a deck you need to play a lot to get better with, and as I'm relearning the deck from like way a few months ago. I picked it up, played it once, and then dropped it. I'm having to relearn a lot of the plays and stuff, as I'll get into some of my games later, but hey. And then for hand traps, I played Gamma. Gamma in theory I think was really good because there's a lot of cards you can play that like force ashes and stuff, and such as Ecclesia, you summon Ecclesia tribute here, your field is bare. It didn't do very well today though. I didn't resolve Gamma once, so I don't know if that was the fact that the card's not good right now, or if people were being really smart about it and playing around it as best they can, but it didn't come up today, and I drew this driver like 3 games back to back once, so Defo's still like worth playing, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep playing it. But Defo, it's Gamma, like I don't need to play it. 3 Ash Blossom. This is pretty much like obvious. Hand Trap is obvious, you know. I do play Feet Ash though. If you have a problem, then fight me. 4 heads are ugly. And then, because I'm lazy, I played 3 copies of Ghost Mourner. This was purely played because I wanted to test it, because it's just sitting around in my bulk doing nothing, and it's basically just worse imperm, really. Like, there's nothing to tell you. Like, it is just literally a worse version of impermanence, but I couldn't be bothered with my imperms from the other deck. Yeah, great deck building 101, I know, but still, it does the job. It came in clutch a couple of games today where I got some extra damage with the burn and got the negation, so it did its job. It's still a good hand trap. It's still a good card to play. It's just Veiler and Impermanence just do the same job, but better. But if there was ever a format you needed like multiple of those kind of cards, she'd definitely be a good choice. But she's just the worst of the 3 like effect negations from the hand, so that just happens to be it. And that's it for the monster count. 3 Sword Soul Emergence. So this card's your rotor for the Sword Soul archetype. You know, we can't search Protoss anymore because he's banned. Understandable. Have a nice day. But still, it searches your Sword Soul card, so why would you not want 3 of it? 1 Summit. Summit is for follow-up plays and just sometimes pushing through boards and stuff. I still think 1 is more than enough for this kind of card. It is a Sword Soul card as well, so it can trigger your other Sword Soul cards. If you like draw it in a hand where you don't need it, you can pitch it off for Long Yuan or reveal it with Moye. It's definitely a good one-off. It can cause some issues at times. Like there were some games today where I just had it and it wasn't doing anything, but there are some times where it is also really good. 2 copies of Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. I'm playing 2 of this because I know a lot of people play 3. I think 2 of this card is correct, in my opinion. Correct in my opinion, that's a contradiction. But having 3 feels like it doesn't do enough on its own. You need like this with a Tenyi. When you have it with a Tenyi, it's fantastic, but when you don't, it's like, hope you've got Tyre and you can get some use out of it. But I think 2, I get it enough with a Tenyi for it to come up and do something useful. And I don't think 1 is like enough. Like you need to play this or the Rise of the Duelist Tenyi card, which lets you tribute 1 and Surge. But because Protoss is gone, that I think is less useful now. So you either play 1 or the other. They're both still good cards, but I think Vessel is just better because when you do have a Tenyi, it's great. But I think 2 is more than enough for this kind of card. Lets you get some extra extenders, lets you search the other cards. It just makes your Tenyi plays better. But again, you need the Tenyi for it to do stuff. I've main decked 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone just because I wasn't sure what people were going to be playing at my locals, so I thought this is just nice to have in there. It did come in clutch in 1 matchup against, in round 3. It came very good against my round 3 opponent, which I'll talk about later, but yeah, it's Cosmic Cyclone, I don't need to talk about it much. And then 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. I love this card, I think this card is great. Basically, it's just another style of imperm, but you can set it going first, activate it going second, negate something. It's just a really flexible card, and I think it's unbelievable in this deck. Definitely format dependent, you could definitely drop it for something else, but I just think it's a nice card, and I also don't have drop that's the stuff to be able to play, so this is just, you know, a nice bit action. And RIP, 1 copy of Pot of Desires. Konami, if you're watching this, to 3, please. Don't, like, you're hurting budget players more than actual meta players, like, to 3. This is the craziest decision I think you've ever made in the ban list, for a ban list in the longest time. So, to 3, please. Like, you know, wake up. But yeah, Pot of Desires is still a good card, by the way. And then for the traps, I do play 2 copies of Blackout. So my strategy was to go first on the die roll, and then side for going second. Just, you know, to play more board breakers and stuff, going second. So to give my deck some flexibility, because it still do well enough going first. And if I'm going first, I want to open that trap without having to search it. So at least if I end up on something meager like Chizhou, I at least have this to be able to search or have it in hand. So if they like say, wait till I make Chizhou and then the impermit, I still have the Blackout to search. So you can play 1 or 2 of this, definitely not 3, but I like 2. I think it's a nice, it's a good solid card. And that's it for the main decks, which I think is 43 cards. Go to the extra deck. 2 Monk of the Tenyi. This should be 3. I realised this in playing today. I really badly need the 3rd one. It comes up way too much. A lot of the times I had a Tenyi in my hand that just wasn't doing anything, and the 3rd one did come up a number of times. So I think 3 of this is something I've definitely understood as what you need. So definitely 3 of that. I do play 1 Shaman. Shaman's just there just to get you can get like a Tenyi worm back from the graveyard and make some extra pushes. It does lock you into Tenyi effects from the extra deck, which is kind of annoying, but if you're pushing for game, it doesn't really matter. So, good card, just nice, just in case things happen. defo card you consider playing. And then for the synchro monsters, the best bit. One copy of Yazzie. Yazzie's just kind of here in case, I need something to pop and I want to special summon a worm from deck. This card alone is making me consider playing Destrudo in my list, because Destrudo going second into this, pop a card in Yazzie, get a Tenyi or a Swordsoul card, seems really good to me. So I'm going to have to test that later, but today I didn't play that. I just had this in there because why not? It's a decent synchro monster. For the other thing, I play 2 copies of Baxia. Weirdly, didn't make this today. There's a lot of time. A lot of my games today were very much like, I didn't need to make him because I could just end up OTKing them, so I just never end up making him. Like, I could just get game with the other synchro monster in my list. But yeah, this is probably the best synchro monster in the deck. Like, he's crazy strong. Defo, a card I consider actually playing 3 copies of. He's that good, but I never really make the third one. But it's definitely a card that's that good you could consider playing 3. But he is a great card. Like, the best synchro in the deck, in my opinion. I played 1 copy of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This is basically like my tech choice. So Scarlet is just to help me push for game. Being a big 3k beat stick, he can help you, like, because sometimes you do miss lethal with just your monsters on board. So with Scarlet, you can do enough damage to just finish the game. So it's very niche, but if I think I'm going to miss lethal, this just covers that. Which I think this deck is it really needs to make sure it can go for lethal when it needs to because of that. Because it can't afford to grind game. So this is a card I'm taking. It's definitely cuttable, but yeah, I am a 5D fanboy, as you've probably guessed. So of course I'm going to be playing this, even though this is the Arc 5 version. But the Arc 5 version is the best one. So yeah. I also played, of course, the Swordsoul Synchro Chixiao. Chixiao is really solid. The negation and a search. You can only activate 1 effect per turn, but that really makes absolutely no difference because you're going to be searching on your turn, negating on your opponent's turn most of the time. So yeah, not really much more to say about that one. He's just good. Level 8 worm, pretty good. Oh, hang on. What are you doing there? Cheap, sneaky. Draco Berserker the Tenyi. So this card is pretty decent in this because being a worm, it doesn't have its effect shut off, and you can also summon it when you're locked into the Tenyi cards. But being a Tenyi, you can also summon it and use it and turn it into a monk for later turns if you need to, which is why I want to play the 3rd monk. I did make it once today. It didn't really do much because of the board state I was in, but it did get some damage on. It's still a good card, but it's not like something that will really be there to win all the time. It's just a good worm synchro monster that you can use that conveniently has some synergy with like the extra deck and stuff. So definitely a good synchro monster and one I consider playing in most lists, but it's a player preference I think on that one. But he is good. And the last level 8 is Cyframe Lord Omega. He loops cards, recycles banish cards. Yeah, he's good. And if you, gamma somebody and you may get a free Omega out of it, it's a win-win. The one level 9, Chaofeng. Chaofeng, I didn't make this today. I didn't do the combo to end up making this card. I'm probably going to drop this card, to be honest, because while it is insane when it locks your opponent out, I wasn't playing the cards in the list today that made it worthwhile going into, so I never really considered making this. It was pretty much a dead card. But hypothetically, I could make it. So if there was any light decks I came across that I could have used against it, it would have been good. But I think the matchups I played against today, none of them really had light monsters or light monsters. So I wasn't playing Vela, so I won't get the surge off the pop. So yeah, this probably could have been something else. But you know what? It's still a decent card. If I did come across a light deck, this just shuts that deck down. So yeah, good card. I'm still tinkering with my list as well. This is very much like I'm learning how I like to play the deck and whatnot, still going along. So for level 10s, Ruddy Rose Dragon. This is just to slap Phantom Knights in the face. And it looks pretty, although that name, not going to go on to that. Swordsoul Sovereign Supreme Chenging. I rarely make this dude, but he is a really good card. Really good card, crazy advantage, crazy attack, increases attack, lowers attack, banishes cards if you're trying to destroy them by a card effect. Just a really good level 10. And the level 10 is, of course, Baronne de Fleur. Baronne de Fleur is probably the best generic level 10 synchro monster we have in the game. She did single-handedly win me a game today. I literally could, the only play I had was summon Baronne de Fleur and then just sit on negation and hand traps and stuff just to keep my opponent at bay, and it ended up winning me the game. So yeah, she's a crazy card, like a negation and a pop and a revival. She's just really good. If you're wondering why I'm not playing the new Sinister Sovereign from Battles of Chaos, I don't think that card's very good. It does crazy burn damage, and being able to draw a card and you sync with someone a Wurm type monster is pretty good. But the sacrifice you make for making that, so let's say you want to do your full combo, you want to long you on first. The first card you want to make, is probably Baron de Fleur, because you don't want to get Nibiru'd. Now, if you make Chengi, if the Sinister Sovereign, yes, you can then go into Chi-Zhao and get your draw, but if your opponent knows you're doing that and they've got Nib, you're going to get really punished for overextending, whereas Baron makes your play safer, and is just overall a more impressive card than, say, the Swordsoul Supreme. Might test him at a late date, but between him and Ruddy Rose just completely helps the Phantom Knight matchup, which isn't prevalent at my locals, but I know there are a few players that do play that deck. And I think that is more beneficial than just a wonky level 10 synchro. I don't think the Sovereign Supreme is that good a card. And that's for the extra deck. So onto the side deck, I ended up playing 3 Gamma Seal just to get over annoying boss monsters. Like my side deck options, my staples are kind of limited right now, so very locked into what I can choose. Gamma Seal is just a nice generic removal card that I can bounce back to my hand if I need to with stuff like Baxia and whatnot for a later date. But yeah, didn't use it today. Side decked a lot, never saw it, so didn't really come on clutch. Dark Ruler No More. This card is good. It's just one of the best, break the board stuff. Did have somebody get around it today with a particular combo, which I'll talk more about later. But the one game the couple of games I did use it in, it was pretty solid, and yeah, pretty good card. Of course, well, they don't take damage, but still. Negation, so you can play through stuff and just break the board and then establish yours. Good card. Well, no reason not to play, especially it's also a budget player's best friend. 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. This just in case any Phantom Knight players go around again, just stops banishing stuff, and any other deck that wants to banish, like people playing Snow Dot deck. This card would be pretty good for that. There was actually one matchup today I should have sided this in hindsight, but then I didn't think to do it, and it was a bit of a silly on me. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Regeki, 1 Cosmic Cyclone. So Cyclone and Harpy's Feather Duster would just be pretty good, like generic removal. Regeki, weirdly enough, I just had 1 space left over, so I thought I'll throw a Regeki in there, because why not? It just breaks the boards and it's pretty decent. And the last side deck option is Nibiru, the Locals Terror. There's so many people playing rogue decks that don't have the capacity to play around Nibiru, and Nibiru just sneaks easy wins. So yeah, it's very much. I really hate the fact that this card exists. Like, I get why it exists, but it's so painful to be hit by a Nibiru even today. And it's scary to think this card's been with us for 2.5 years. Like, it's crazy. But that's the deck list for the Tenyi Swordsoul. This is just the first list I've made in a while, so it's very, very kind of unoptimized, very untested. I need to practice with it more, get used to the combos, get flow of how I want to play it. Swordsoul's in a bit of a weird spot right now. It's a good deck, definitely a very good deck, but because of how the format is established, I definitely think the Alki Fibrax or Auroradon combo is the way to go with the deck. But I don't really like playing that variant. It's just kind of lame, in my opinion, even though I do really like Alki Fibrax. I'd rather just play it more traditionally, and with the Adventurer stuff being really powerful right now, making other decks like Adventurer Prankids and all the other comp variants, like the base deck being a thing as well. It's a crazy time in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's very out of control, again, shock horror. But anyway, on to my Locals Report. I went 2-2 today, 2 wins, 2 losses. Not my best performance, but definitely not what I'd say a terrible one, just very break-even. Matchups were very good, though. It was a pretty good locals, because I did get some more testing in against some really important decks. So the first deck I came across was it was an FTK. It was Danger Dark the World FTK, where they used to use Dangers and Dark Worlds and Seyuja to get the world in place, and then just, skip your turn and then kill you that way. So very reminiscent of the old Danger decks. Game 1 I ended up winning because I have the Morna to stop the key Seyuja, and he didn't have enough cards to push on through with his combo, which is pretty good. So that goes for me. Game 2, He FTKs me. I have a Nibiru I'm holding, and he card destructions it. And I'm like, should I activate it? Should I activate it? I probably should have done, but he was also recording the match, so I thought to myself, shout outs to Glasshammer Gaming's YouTube channel. If you should check that out. But yeah, he ends up card destruction. I have the Nibiru in hand, thinking I should probably Nibiru in here, but I figured that he'd got so many cards engraved and had that much advantage in his hand already that even if I did, there probably wasn't going to make too much of a difference, and he was still going to get a monster off it anyway, and he'd still be able to use it. So I just ended up just saying, sure, maybe I'll draw into something else that's useful. And I did draw into a Mourner, which was pretty big, but he still FDK'd me, still did the World Lock, and I thought, hey, at least we've got it on footage for camera. In Game 3, I kind of bamboozled him here, because, like I've said, my deck was, the side deck for my list was to go second. So I had like a lot of board breaking cards, like Kaiju's Dark Ruler, Regeki, shit like that. So I say, okay, I'm gonna play with fire here, and I'm gonna let him go first. Now, he took some dangers out of his list to accommodate for this. And I kind of banked on this. I thought to myself, he's an FTK deck, but he knows if I know for a fact he'll think I'm going to make him go second because he's playing FTK. He thinks I'll respect it. So I just disrespected the fact he was playing an FTK and just decided to say, nah, whatever. And I drew a good enough hand with enough interruptions to stop him popping off. Like, I ashed his Curious, and he got pretty far, but like Ash Mourner was pretty good on some key cards, and he just ended up running out of steam, and I just ended up OTKing him. So match one was for me. Game 2 was against DDD. This was a really important match for me because I've never played against DDD and I don't know what they did, so this was a real learning experience. I lost that game. I lost that match. Lost it 2-1, but game 1 I really shouldn't have won. I ended up setting up a board of Chizhou and Blackout, which was enough to stop his board, and I ended up OTKing him in game 1. But as we realised that after we picked the cards up, we pointed out, my opponent pointed out actually after he picked the cards up and we'd sorted the side deck out, that a Shuna locked you into worms, and the way I'd killed him was using Scarlight. Obviously, I can't summon Scarlight because he's a dragon, so he shouldn't have been dead there, but in all seriousness, games 2 and 3, Karma came in and he just slapped me silly. I think game 2, I activated Dark Ruler, and he used the continuous DDD contract trap to be able to chain Siegfried and target the Dark Ruler to negate it. So I was actually quite impressed. I was like, okay, it's like the hot red stuff. So I learned a lot that game. I was like, okay, so Dark Ruler is pretty bad against this deck. So that was a valuable experience. And game 3, I end up getting Pot of Desires, draw a hand, have to rely on Ecclesia to push to make a play. He has the Imperm on the summon, so I can't Ecclesia. So I end up setting a Forbidden Chalice and passing. He kills the Ecclesia, and I make a really crucial misplay here. He summons, I think it's Kepler, the one that normal summons adds a contract, and I ash the Kepler. Now this is really stupid because I had a Forbidden Chalice set, so instead of just using the Chalice on the Kepler and keeping the ash in hand, because as it turns out in next you'll see why it was important, the Chalice could have stopped the Kepler, and then he activated the Dark Contract anyway. So I wasted the Ash, and the Forbidden Chalice wasn't doing anything. So that was a huge misplay on my part. Not sure if it would have made much difference to the game. I'm not really that fussed either way. Like, it just was very much a critical misplay that was on my part, and it was very much a Hodoi moment after I did it. And I realised when I did it that I'd messed up, and I just... It was what it was. Like, I'd already felt guilty about cheating the game 1 out of him, so I was just like, no, okay, this is not my game, But DDD's a very scary deck, and I learned a lot. Check out Sanctum Squad if you are interested in DDDs or anything. It's a really cool deck. Not my flavor. It's not my favorite kind of combo deck, but it's definitely a really cool deck if you enjoy your crazy long-winded combos. And with the new support, excuse me, it's pretty powerful. Like, it has some crazy combos and crazy buzz monsters. So check out Sanctum Squad's video if you want a cool DDD profile. But on to round 3. Round 3 was against Super Quants. So if you're not familiar with this deck, this is the Power Ranger deck that ends up making Great Magnus. who is a crazy boss monster, like 3/6 attack, unaffected, you can't search, you can send if he wants. Like, if they get that out, they're donezo. But I win the die roll, set my board up with Baron and Cosmic. He has the field spell, and not much else, so I have Baron to negate stuff. He Dark Rules me to start with, which I'm like, okay, fair enough. Kind of crazy to see it going first, but hey-ho. And going first in a game one, but yeah, I have the Cyclone for his field spell, so without his field spell, he's not doing much, so I end up just continually poking him with Baron. It wins the game. I get enough steam. If the Baron had died, I was probably in trouble, but game 2, this was this was pretty bad, because I opened Ash Nibiru, and from previous games I've had against my opponent with this, Nibiruing them is pretty crucial if they don't have cross out like most rogue decks. So I Ash his emergency teleport, he does his combo, gets 3 on board with the field spell, makes a 3 Xyz monster to go into Magnus, so then uses the other effect of the field spell, which allows him to send the field spell to overlay all the Xyz monster into Magnus, and then I Nibiru chaining on the field spell effect, which gets rid of all the Xyz, and he just scoops it up. The game I think was over in 6 minutes, 7 minutes, which, you know, it's unfortunate. It was like, wow, that's one of the quickest games I've played in a while. But again, hand traps are really powerful against particular rogue strategies, and my side deck and board was luckily built to deal with Magnus, because it's a scary boss monster, and if I didn't have those cards, I wouldn't be able to out the Magnus. I don't think there's anything in my deck that I can banish enough cards with and get Magnus low enough, besides maybe changing with enough monsters. But again, like, he just sends it, and it's no use. So luckily didn't have to deal with that. And game 4, I end up going against Adventurer Pranked. This deck's pretty crazy. So game 1, he does the Adventurer combo with the Pranked stuff, sets up his board, passes. I end up not being able to break the board. Not much to be said here. I make the Berserker Tenyi. I have a really good hand, a really, really strong hand here. So I feel like I should have been able to break the board, but I think my inexperience here cost me game 1, and I wasn't sure what I could break. There was definitely an impermanence and crucial moments like the fusion, but I still managed to play through a lot of it and keep going. But I think there was probably a crucial decision made where I didn't use my resources correctly, and it cost me the game. And my opponent was very smart on what he changed stuff as well. He knew exactly what to hit as well. So it was really good play on his part. And then game 2, I side my stuff in. I let him go first. He does his combo again. I Dark Rule him this time to be able to play through it all. Managed to get through. Managed to make a board. Play through the Griffin and stuff. Get rid of the swing them over. Get Nibiru'd, unfortunately. So before I can make a proper push, but or was that the turn after? I think it might have been the turn after, actually. But I don't make too much of a decent push. Like, I didn't have as good a hand as I did game 1, weirdly enough. But I still managed to make a decent push. Goes to his turn. He ends up making his Pranked's board again, being able to recycle his stuff, doing some plays. Gets Nibiru. I get Nibiru the turn after, on my next turn. Have to settle for that. He does his combo plays, and then I Nibiru him in exchange, so it's Nibiru back and forth this one. He ends up actually bouncing the Nibiru back to my hand, which he admitted this was a misplay on his part as well, because now it turns on my going second cards. That's right. So what ends up happening is I start running out of steam, because Swordsoul is not the best grindy deck, especially against something like Prankers that can keep repeatedly blowing up your board. Really well played by my opponent. Well used, timing the butler as well. Because Swordsoul has a lot of obvious tells of where to go. Like if you just get rid of the tuner, they can't synchro summon. So he timed it well, waited for the right moment, and I didn't have the ways to play around the fusion spell. So I ended up losing that game. But hey ho, it is what it is. We gave it a good showing, did our best, and we ended up walking away with 2-2, which for a deck that I haven't done much with, I thought it was pretty good. Again, I got some good matches against meta. I definitely learned today that the meta matchups were what I was struggling with. DDD is a scary deck when it gets going, but the fact that you can use hand traps to stop them enough shows that, again, it's just like any other combo deck, but if it just establishes its board, you're probably not winning. It's just one of them. You have to open the hand trap, so you don't. Adventure Pranks is probably the reason why I don't think Swordsoul is going to be amazing this format. It's still a great rogue deck, but decks like Adventure Pranks just really synergize the adventure engine well. And because I'm limited a lot of my tech choices and stuff, I don't think I have maybe the optimal card choices to deal with that deck, but we give it a go. We do our best, you know, give it to them. You know, there's always a chance we can push through and deal with it. And of course, we're still learning the ins and outs of this deck, getting better with it. I was learning on the fly as the day, so yeah, I was really happy with today. I came in going a bit nervous. It's only locals, so I don't know why I'm nervous, but if, like, you have your own personal pressure put on you, and you end up trying your best and learning on the fly, and yeah, just wasn't meant to be. But anyway, thanks to Glasshammer Gaming. It was a fun locals again. Really enjoyed it. Again, shout out to the Sanctum Squad for the DDD profile. I think you should go check them out. It's a really cool channel. The shout out to the Glasshammer Gaming YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. And I will see you next time, guys. Peace out.